The county clerk handed me the envelope while I was feeding cattle with my son. Inside was my father's signature, except my father never signed it. It was a cold October morning in South Dakota, the kind of morning where your breath hangs in the air and frost covers every blade of grass on our 3,200 acres. Lucas and I were out early, throwing hay bales to the herd. This was our routine, had been for 32 years since he was old enough to ride beside me. Fourth generation Parker on this land, same land his great-great-grandfather homesteaded in 1922. I saw the county clerk's car coming up the long driveway, dust trail behind it, even in the cold. You always know when someone's coming to a ranch. No surprise visits out here. She got out. Susan Martinez. I'd known her 15 years. She looked uncomfortable. Dan, she said, I'm sorry to do this, but I have to serve you these papers. I wiped my hands on my jeans, took the manila envelope. Lucas stopped throwing hay, walked over. He's 32 now, married, 2 kids of his own. Works this ranch like it's already his, because one day it will be. I opened the envelope. Inside was a legal document, 6 pages, stapled together, white paper, bright white, the kind that comes out of a laser printer. The heading read, Last Will and Testament of Robert James Parker. My father, who died 3 years ago, I'd already probated his will. 3 years ago. This was something else. I started reading. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they did, and I wish they didn't. What is it? Lucas asked. I couldn't speak for a moment, just stared at the signature on page 6. It looked like my father's signature, the way he always signed his name, Robert J. Parker, bold strokes, black ink, except something was wrong. Dad! Lucas's voice was urgent now. What is it? It's a will, I said. My voice sounded far away, even to myself. A will dated September 30th, 2021. 5 months after the original. It says, I had to read it again to believe it. It says your grandfather changed his mind, left 60% of the ranch to Courtney, 40% to me, 0 to you. The paper shook in my hands, not from the cold. Lucas grabbed it, read it himself. His face went white. That's not Grandpa's handwriting, he said immediately. Look at it, Dad. Look at the signature. I looked, really looked. My father's hand was steady. His signature never wavered. 45 years of signing checks, contracts, deeds. I'd seen his signature 1,000 times. Bold downstrokes, confident crosses on the P's. Never a tremor, never hesitation. This signature had a tremor. A tiny waver in the downstroke of the R. A hesitation in the loop of the J. This isn't real, I said, but it was filed with the county. Official, notarized, it claimed, by Frank Delaney. Dated September 21, 6 months before my father died. The problem was I had the original will, the real one, dated April 12th, 2021, safe in a bank vault, navy blue legal backing. My father's true signature, notarized by the same Frank Delaney, but 5 months earlier. Someone had forged my father's will, and that someone was my wife. Lucas and I drove straight to the bank. Didn't even finish feeding the cattle. The herd would wait. This couldn't. First National Bank of Rapid City. I'd had an account there since I was 16. The vault manager, Tom, knew me, knew my father. He brought us to the safe deposit box area. You okay, Dan? He asked. You look like you've seen a ghost. Maybe I have, I said. My hands shook as I put the key in box 317. The box my father had kept for 50 years. The box he'd made me promise to never close after he died. Everything important is in here, he'd told me 2 weeks before the heart attack took him. The original deed, the will, the trust documents. Keep them safe, Daniel. Don't let anyone tell you different. I opened the box. Inside, in a clear plastic sleeve, was the will, the real one. 14 pages on cream-colored legal paper, navy blue backing, the kind attorneys used in 2021. I pulled it out carefully. The paper had weight to it, quality stock, substantial. The staples made a soft metallic sound as I turned the pages. The document smelled like the vault, that particular mix of old paper, metal, and stale air. But underneath I caught something else. The faint scent of the law office where it was drafted, leather chairs and wood polish and copy toner. I turned to page 14. There it was, my father's signature, bold, black ink, steady hand, Robert J. Parker, no tremor, no hesitation. The notary's seal below it, Frank Delaney's seal, embossed, raised. You could trace it with your fingertip. Dated April 12th, 2021. I laid both documents side by side on the vault table. The original, the forgery, same name, same notary claim. Different dates, different paper, different signatures. Lucas stood beside me, looking at both. "Dad," he said quietly, "why would she do this?" I didn't have an answer, not yet, but I remembered something 3 years ago, right after my father's funeral, right after I probated the real will. Courtney had asked me casually, almost like she didn't care about the answer, "Did your father leave everything to you?" "Yes," I'd said, "to me, then to you when I die." She'd smiled, kissed my cheek. "That's good. Family should stay together." I'd thought it was sweet. Now I wondered if it was research. I pulled out my phone, took photos of both wills, every page, every signature. The differences were subtle, but they were there. The forged signature was shaky where my father's was bold. The downstroke had a tremble. The cross of the T was tentative. It was someone trying to copy his signature slowly, carefully. Someone who'd practiced but couldn't fake confidence. "The paper's wrong too," Lucas said. He was holding the forged will up to the light. "This is consumer-grade paper, 24-pound, the kind you buy at Office Depot. The original is legal stock, 32-pound, professional." My son, always paying attention to details. He'd learned from the best, his grandfather, who'd been a meticulous record keeper. I looked at Lucas, 28 years old when his mother and I divorced, 32 now. He'd never liked Courtney, never trusted her. I'd thought he was being protective, territorial. Maybe he'd just been right. "We need an attorney," I said. "We need to talk to Courtney first," Lucas said. His jaw was tight. "We need to hear her lie to your face." I wanted to defend her, wanted to believe there was some explanation, but I couldn't think of one. Someone had tried to replace my father's final wishes, and the only person who'd benefit was my wife. I found Courtney at home, our home. The ranch house my great-grandfather built in 1928, 4 bedrooms, wraparound porch, view of the Badlands in the distance. She was in the kitchen, making coffee, acting normal. "Hey," she said when I walked in, smiled. "You're back early. Finished feeding already?" I put both wills on the kitchen table, side by side. Her smile faltered, just for a second. Then it came back, but different, forced. "What's this?" she asked. "You tell me." She looked at the documents, her face carefully neutral, but I saw her eyes scanning, reading. She knew what she was looking at. "I don't understand," she said. Is this your father's will?" "Which one?" I asked. She looked up at me. "What do you mean, which one?" "I mean, there are 2. I pointed to the forged one. "This one was filed with the county this morning, dated September 20th, 2021, 6 months before Dad died. Claims to replace the original." She picked it up, held it like she'd never seen it before. "Dan, I don't know anything about this." "Don't you?" "No, I swear. Where did this come from?" "You tell me, Courtney. You're the one who benefits." Her face hardened. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm asking you a question." She put the document down, crossed her arms. Her voice changed, colder now. "I don't appreciate being interrogated in my own home." "Our home," I said, "and I don't appreciate being lied to." "I'm not lying," she said. I don't know anything about this will. Maybe your father did change his mind. Maybe he wanted to provide for me too. Did you ever think of that? My father died 6 months after this document is supposedly dated. He had a heart attack. Sudden. He didn't change his will. He didn't have time. And if he had, he would have told me. She laughed. A sharp sound. Maybe he didn't tell you because he knew you'd react like this. Possessive. Territorial. Like you own everything. I do own everything, I said. He left it to me. In his real will. The one dated 5 months before this forgery. Forgery? Her voice rose. You're calling this a forgery? What else would you call it? She grabbed her purse from the counter, started digging through it, pulled out her phone. I'm calling my attorney, she said. You have an attorney? I do now. She dialed, walked into the other room. I heard her voice, muffled, angry. Then she came back. Nathan Voss will be representing me, she said. You'll be hearing from him. Nathan Voss. I knew that name. Couldn't place it. Courtney, I said, trying to calm down, trying to think clearly. If you didn't do this, if you don't know anything about this, then we should be on the same side. We should figure out who did. She looked at me. Her eyes were different now, hard. Dan, she said, I think you should know something. What? She put her hand on her stomach, a gesture, deliberate. I'm pregnant, she said. 8 weeks with your child. The room tilted. You're what? Pregnant. Your baby. And you're accusing me of forgery? You're treating me like a criminal? What kind of father are you going to be? My mind raced. 8 weeks, that would have been when? Late August. But we hadn't been intimate since June, 3 months ago. Our marriage had been cold for a while, distant. I thought we just needed time. Courtney, I said slowly, we haven't been together, not in months. Her face flushed. Excuse me? It's been 3 months at least, since June. That's ridiculous. We were together in August. You just don't remember. I remember, I said. I remember every time, and there wasn't an August. She stared at me, then grabbed her coat. I'm not doing this, she said. I'm not staying here to be accused and doubted and interrogated. I'm leaving. You can contact me through Nathan. Courtney, but she was already out the door. Car engine, gravel crunching, gone. I stood in the kitchen, alone, looking at 2 wills, trying to process. My wife claimed to be pregnant with my child, but the math didn't work. She just retained an attorney I didn't know. And somewhere, somehow, someone had forged my father's will. I pulled out my phone, Googled Nathan Voss Attorney, South Dakota. His website came up, Sioux Falls Law Office, specialization, estate planning, and probate litigation. Below his bio, there was a seminar listing, past events. I scrolled through them. One caught my eye. Maximizing Your Inheritance, Advanced Strategies for Estate Claims, hosted by Nathan Voss. Dated June 20th, 2023, 14 months ago, 14 months before my father died. I clicked on the seminar. It had an attendance list, sign-in sheet, scanned and posted. I scrolled through the names, and there it was. Line 17, C. Sullivan, Courtney Sullivan, her maiden name. She'd attended this seminar 14 months before we met, a seminar about maximizing inheritance claims, taught by the attorney who was now representing her in this probate dispute. I sat down at the kitchen table. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. If you've ever trusted someone completely only to discover they were lying the whole time, you know the feeling. Your body goes cold, your chest tightens, you can't breathe right. It's not anger yet, not even sadness. It's shock, system shock. I want you to know you're not alone. I see you. Keep listening, because this story is about how truth wins, even when it seems impossible. I'd met Courtney at a community church event 6 months after my father died. I was lost, grieving, didn't know how to run a ranch without him. She'd been kind, supportive, said all the right things. We married 6 months later. I thought I was in love. I thought she was my second chance at happiness, but she'd attended a seminar about inheritance fraud 14 months before my father died, before she'd ever met me. She hadn't found me at that church event. She'd been looking for me. My attorney's name was John Brennan. He'd been our family attorney for 20 years. Knew my father well. Probated the original will 3 years ago. I called him. He said to come in immediately. His office was in downtown Rapid City, small building, second floor, smelled like old books and coffee. John was 60, gray hair, reading glasses hanging on a chain around his neck. I brought both wills, laid them out on his desk. He picked up the forged one first, examined it, turned pages, studied the signature, the notary seal, the paper stock. Dan, he said quietly, where did you get this? County clerk served it to me this morning. It's been filed in probate court. Filed by whom? I don't know yet. But Courtney just retained Nathan Voss to represent her. John's face changed. Nathan Voss? You know him? I know of him. John chose his words carefully. He specializes in contested estates, probate litigation. He's aggressive, and he's expensive. How expensive? Retainers start at $50,000. I sat back. Where would Courtney get $50,000? That's a good question. Someone knocked on the door. John's receptionist, Maria, poked her head in. Mr. Brennan, there's someone here to see you. Says it's about the Parker estate. Rita McAllister? I stood up immediately. Rita, send her in. Rita McAllister had been my father's secretary for 30 years. She'd retired 2 years ago, but she'd been there for everything, every contract, every deed, every signature. She walked in carrying a large accordion folder, bound with twine, heavy. Daniel, she said, I heard what happened. Susan Martinez called me, said someone filed a new will for your father. They did, I said. A forgery. I know it is, Rita said. She set the folder on John's desk, untied the twine. The folder expanded, rustling with papers. Because I typed the real one. April 12th, 2021. Your father came into the office, sat with John for 3 hours. I typed every word. I watched him sign it. She opened the folder. Inside were documents, dozens of them, checks, contracts, letters, all signed by my father, 40 years worth. I saved everything your father ever signed, Rita said. Every check he wrote to vendors, every contract for cattle, every letter to the bank. I couldn't throw them away after he died. I thought, her voice caught, I thought they were memories. Now I think they're evidence. John picked up a check from 1998, looked at the signature, then picked up a contract from 2010, another signature, a letter from 2019, another. Every signature was consistent, bold, steady, confident. He laid the forged will next to them. The signature on the forgery was different, shakier, more tentative. The downstroke trembled, the loops were tight. It was someone trying to copy the style, but unable to replicate the confidence. This is a forgery, John said definitively, and I can prove it. How? I asked. Handwriting expert Marcus Webb, he's an FBI consultant on document fraud, works out of Sioux City. He can analyze signature patterns, paper stock, ink composition. If this is a forgery, he'll find 8 or 10 specific differences. How long does that take? Week, maybe 2. I don't have a week, I said. Courtney filed this will. She's claiming ownership. How long until the court accepts it? John looked grave. Probate court gives you 30 days to contest. After that, if you haven't filed an objection, the will is presumed valid. You'd forfeit your right to challenge. 30 days? Starting from when you were served. Which was today. My head spun. 30 days to prove my father's will was forged. 30 days to expose my wife's fraud. 30 days or I'd lose everything my family had built for over a century. There's something else, John said. If we challenge this will and lose, you could be liable for attorney fees, Courtney's attorney fees, Nathan Voss's fees, which could be hundreds of thousands. I finished. Yes. And if I don't challenge it, then this will stands. 60% to Courtney, 40% to you. Lucas gets nothing. The ranch would have to be sold to pay out Courtney's share. 4 generations gone. I looked at Rita. Her eyes were wet. Your father made me promise, she said. The day he signed the real will. He said, Rita, if anything ever happens to me, if anyone ever questions this will, you tell Dan the truth. You tell him my hand was steady, my signature never wavered, and no one can forge a man's life work. I felt something break inside me. My father, dead 3 years, still trying to protect me, still leaving breadcrumbs, still trusting that truth would win. Rita looked at me. Dan, when did Courtney attend Nathan Voss's seminar about inheritance claims? I'd forgotten I'd mentioned that. 14 months before Dad died. How did you... Because Nathan Voss's name is on something else, Rita said. She pulled a document from her folder, a brochure, glossy, trifold. I found this in your father's desk after he died. He'd saved it. I didn't know why. Now I do. The brochure read, Maximizing Your Inheritance, Advanced Strategies for Estate Claims. Hosted by Nathan Voss. Date, June 20th, 2023. Your father attended this seminar, Rita said. He wanted to understand how probate fraud worked. He was worried about gold diggers, about someone targeting you after he was gone. He saw you grieving, vulnerable. He knew someone might take advantage. I looked at the brochure, my father's handwriting in the margin, a note to himself. Ask Rita to keep all signature samples just in case. He'd known. Somehow he'd known. My father's attorney said something then that I'll never forget. Dan, your father protected you. Now you have to finish what he started. 3 days later, Courtney held a press conference for a ranch inheritance dispute in a town of 850 people. She stood outside the county courthouse, Nathan Voss beside her, a reporter from the Rapid City Journal, a camera. I watched it later online. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. Courtney wore a cream-colored dress, her hand on her stomach. 8 weeks pregnant, she claimed. She looked fragile, scared, vulnerable. I'm afraid for my safety, she said to the camera, her voice shaking. And for my unborn child's safety. My husband, Daniel Parker, is trying to hide assets that legally belong to me. His father's will, the real will, dated September 21, leaves me 60% of the ranch. It's my inheritance too, but Dan won't honor it. He's threatened me. He's interrogated me. He's made me fear for my life. Nathan Voss stepped forward. We're filing for a restraining order, he said. Mrs. Parker cannot be in the same room as her husband without fearing for her safety. We're also filing a motion to freeze all ranch assets pending probate resolution. The ranch cannot be sold, mortgaged, or depleted until the court determines rightful ownership. The reporter asked a question I couldn't hear. Nathan answered, The Parker family ranch has been valued at $18 million. The business generates $8.5 million in annual revenue. Mrs. Parker is entitled to her share under Mr. Robert Parker's final wishes. We intend to enforce those wishes. The video ended. I sat in my truck, parked outside the feed store, watching it on my phone. My phone started ringing. Text messages, calls, my pastor, my fire chief, the president of the Cattlemen's Association. Everyone had seen it. By that night, the church called. Pastor Mills, kind voice, uncomfortable. Dan, he said, I don't know what's going on, but the deacon board thinks with the restraining order and the allegations, maybe you should step back from your deacon duties just until this is resolved. I said, okay. What else could I say? The next morning, the fire department called. I was volunteer fire chief, had been for 8 years. Dan, we got a complaint. Anonymous, says you're violent, unstable. We have to investigate. Protocol. Maybe take a leave from chief duties. I said, okay. The next afternoon, the bank called. The ranch accounts, frozen, court order. Nathan Voss had filed the motion. Judge granted it. Emergency freeze pending probate. I couldn't access my own money, couldn't pay my ranch hands, couldn't buy feed, couldn't make payroll. Lucas came over that night, found me sitting at the kitchen table, same table where I'd confronted Courtney 4 days earlier. Dad, he said, the guys are worried. They haven't been paid. Word's spreading that the ranch might be sold. They're asking if they should look for other work. I put my head in my hands. 8 full-time ranch hands, good men, families. Some had been with us 15 years. They depended on this place. Their kids depended on it. Tell them, I said. Tell them we're fighting this. Tell them the truth will come out. Tell them... But I didn't know what to tell them. My wife had forged my father's will, filed it in probate court, claimed I was dangerous, got a restraining order, froze my assets, turned my community against me, and now my employees might lose their jobs because I couldn't make payroll. I looked at Lucas. I'm sorry, I said. For what? For marrying her, for not seeing it, for putting our family at risk. Lucas sat down across from me. Dad, she fooled everyone. Even Grandma Rita liked her at first. You can't blame yourself for not seeing a con artist. I should have, I said. You saw it. You never trusted her. Because I wasn't in love with her, Lucas said. You were. That's the difference. Love is supposed to make you trust people. She took advantage of that. Outside, it started snowing. First snow of the season. October snow in South Dakota. Early, heavy. The kind that sticks. The ranch looked peaceful, white, clean, like nothing was wrong, but everything was wrong. My marriage was a lie. My wife was pregnant with someone else's child. My father's honor was being slandered. My community thought I was dangerous. And I had 26 days left to prove the truth before losing everything my family had built for 102 years. I touched my father's reading glasses on the table, the ones he'd worn for 20 years, wire-rim bifocals in a brown leather case. I'd kept them after he died, couldn't throw them away. The case was worn smooth from use. When I opened it, there was a soft creak, leather on leather. The glasses inside had a small scratch on the right lens, shaped like a comma. He'd gotten that scratch fixing a fence in 2015. A piece of wire snapped back. Caught the glass. He never replaced them. Said the scratch reminded him to be careful. I held the glasses. Wished I could see things as clearly as he had. My father knew. Somehow he'd known. He'd attended that seminar, kept signature samples, left instructions with Rita, protected me even in death. But I'd still walked right into the trap. Courtney had targeted me, learned how to commit probate fraud, waited for my father to die, showed up at exactly the right time, said all the right things, married me, waited, then struck. The snow kept falling. Somewhere in Rapid City, my wife was planning her next move. Somewhere in Sioux Falls, Nathan Voss was building his case. Somewhere in a courtroom, a judge would decide if my father's real will would stand or if a forgery would steal everything. 26 days. The first snow of winter covered the ranch. Silent, heavy, beautiful. But I couldn't enjoy it. All I could see was the signature, the forged signature, the tiny tremor that proved it wasn't real. My father's hand was steady. His signature never wavered. This one did. Lucas came to me 2 days later. Early morning, I was in the barn checking fence supplies, trying to keep busy, trying not to think about the 24 days I had left. Dad, he said, I need to show you something. You're not going to like it. He had a laptop, set it on the workbench, opened a folder. I installed security cameras in the house 6 months ago, he said, after I noticed things moved around in your office, papers disturbed. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think I was paranoid. Cameras? I said. In my house? In your office, just the office, motion activated. I was worried about, I don't know, theft. Someone going through Grandpa's papers. He clicked play on a video file. The timestamp read July 15th, 2024, 3 months ago, 2 in the afternoon. The camera showed my office, the desk, the filing cabinets, the door. The door opened. Courtney walked in. She went straight to the filing cabinet, third drawer, pulled it open, started rifling through files. She knew exactly what she was looking for. She found a folder, pulled it out. My father's estate file. She opened it on the desk, started photographing pages with her phone, one by one. Click, click, click. She photographed the original will, every page, every signature. Then she pulled out her phone, called someone. The video had no audio, but I could read her lips. Nathan, I have it. The original will. I photographed every page. She listened, nodded. Yes, I can get his signature samples. They're all over the office. More listening. How long will it take your guy to match the signature? She smiled. Perfect. I'll have the new will ready by next week. Lucas stopped the video. There are 47 recordings, he said quietly. Over 6 months. She was in your office constantly, searching, photographing, planning. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. My wife, in my office, going through my father's papers, photographing his will, calling her attorney, calling someone who could match the signature. The timestamp, I said finally, my voice barely working. July the 15th, that was 3 months before she filed the forged will. 3 months of planning, Lucas said. Dad, this wasn't impulse. This wasn't a mistake. She was building a case, gathering evidence, creating a forgery. This was premeditated fraud. I watched the video again, watched her move through my office like she owned it. Confident, efficient, no hesitation. On the footage, I heard her voice on speakerphone. The laptop had picked up the audio after all. Nathan, I have it. The original will. I photographed every page. Can your guy match the signature? A man's voice, tinny through the phone speaker. Easy. I'll have the new will ready by next week. What about the notary seal? I can replicate Frank Delaney's seal. Same design, just different date. Won't he notice? He won't be asked. By the time anyone questions it, we'll already have filed. And with the pregnancy, you'll have sympathy. No judge is going to rule against a pregnant wife. Courtney laughed. You're brilliant, Nathan. So are you, baby. This time next year we'll be in California with $9 million. The video ended. I stood there. The barn suddenly felt too small, too hot. I couldn't breathe right. 3 months of conspiracy, documented, on video. My wife and her attorney planning to forge my father's will, planning to steal my ranch, planning to frame me as the villain. And they'd done it. They were doing it right now. Dad? Lucas's voice was concerned. You okay? I wasn't okay, but I nodded anyway. We take this to John, I said. This is evidence. This proves she committed fraud. There's more, Lucas said. He pulled out a flash drive. I called a private investigator, had him look into Nathan Voss, and into Courtney's financial history. He opened another folder on the laptop. Bank statements, credit card records, 3 years' worth. When Courtney met you, Lucas said, she had $180,000 in credit card debt, maxed out. Collections agencies, judgments. She was bankrupt. I looked at the numbers, statement after statement, red numbers, negative balances, minimum payments missed. 6 months after you married her, Lucas continued, all of it was paid off. Every card, every judgment cleared. She used your money from Dad's inheritance, to pay her debts. How much? I asked. $183,412. Withdrawn from the ranch operating account in increments over 6 months. You didn't notice because the account usually runs high during calving season. I sat down on a hay bale. My legs wouldn't hold me. She'd married me for money, used my inheritance to pay her debts, then planned to steal the rest through a forged will. I wasn't her husband. I was her retirement plan. John Brennan sent the security footage to Marcus Webb, the handwriting expert, along with Rita's folder of signature samples and both wills. We met Marcus a week later. His office was in Sioux City, Iowa, 2-hour drive from Rapid City. Small office building, second floor. Marcus was in his early 50s, glasses, methodical. He'd worked with the FBI for 20 years on document fraud cases. He had both wills spread out on a light table, the original and the forgery, side by side. "Mr. Parker," he said, "I've examined both documents. I've compared them to 40 years of your father's signature samples, and I've reached a definitive conclusion." He turned on the light table. The documents glowed. "Your father's authentic signature shows 8 specific characteristics, consistent across 4 decades. He pointed with a pen. Bold downstrokes, confident pressure, consistent slant, 15 degrees to the right, loop formation, tight on the J, open on the P. Cross-stroke placement, always at the same height. Entry angle, 45 degrees. Exit stroke, sharp, decisive, and no tremor, ever. Your father's hand never wavered." He moved the pen to the forged will. "This signature shows 8 corresponding inconsistencies. Shaky downstrokes, see the tremor here? Hesitant pressure, the ink is lighter in spots. Slant variation, it wavers between 10 and 20 degrees. Loop formation, the J is too tight, the P is too loose. Cross-stroke placement, it's lower than your father's standard. Entry angle, too steep, 50 degrees. Exit stroke, hesitant, with a hook. And overall tremor, this is someone trying to copy the signature slowly, carefully, but you can't fake confidence." He pulled out another document, a side-by-side photograph mounted on foam board, red arrows highlighting differences. "The paper stock is wrong too. The authentic will is 32-pound legal stock, professional grade. The forgery is 24-pound consumer paper, the kind you buy at Office Depot. The authentic will was printed on a professional legal printer in 2021. The forgery was printed on a consumer laser printer based on the toner pattern, I'd say an HP LaserJet common model available at any electronics store." "Can you prove this in court?" John asked. "Absolutely, I'll testify. These 8 signature differences are definitive. This is forgery, no question." He pulled out one more document, the notary seal comparison. "And then there's this. Frank Delaney's seal. I contacted him. He provided me with samples of his authentic notary seal from 2021. The seal on the authentic will matches perfectly. The seal on the forged will?" He pointed. "Wrong design. The authentic seal has a circular border 1/8 inch thick. The forgery has a border 1/16 inch thick. The authentic seal has Frank Delaney's registration number NT47892. The forgery has NT47892, but the font is different, Arial instead of Times New Roman. The authentic seal has the date format MMDDYYYY. The forgery has MMDDYY, dashes instead of slashes. These are details a forger wouldn't know unless they had the actual seal, which they didn't. They replicated it from a photograph or description, and they got it wrong." I felt something like hope for the first time in 2 weeks. "This proves it," I said. This proves she forged it." "It proves the document is forged," Marcus said carefully. "It doesn't prove who did it. That's for the court to decide. But if I were investigating this case for the FBI, I'd be looking very closely at who benefits most from this forgery and who had access to signature samples." Lucas and I drove back to Rapid City in silence. The evidence was building. Security footage, financial motive, expert testimony. We had proof. But proof isn't justice. Proof is just the beginning. 2 days later, John called. "Dan, I subpoenaed Courtney's phone records, text messages between her and Nathan Voss. You need to see these." He sent me a PDF, 200 pages, text messages, organized chronologically, dating back 18 months. I started reading. June 20th, 2023, Nathan Voss to Courtney Sullivan. Good seminar today. Glad you attended. If you're serious about maximizing an inheritance claim, we should talk strategy. June 22nd, 2023. Courtney to Nathan. Very interested. I have a situation that might be perfect for your services. Can we meet? June 25th, 2023. Meeting notes. Nathan to Courtney. Target Daniel Parker, 53, widower, owns 18 Mammoth Ranch in SD. Father Robert Parker, 73, owns estate. Father in poor health. Opportunity window, 6 to 12 months. Strategy, establish relationship, marry into family, wait for father to die, contest will if unfavorable, alternative, create favorable will. I stopped reading, had to breathe, had to process. They'd planned this before my father died, before I'd even met Courtney. She'd been hunting me. I kept reading. August 10th, 2023. Courtney to Nathan. Met target at church event. He's vulnerable, grieving, perfect. August 15th, 2023. Nathan to Courtney. Move slowly, gain trust, make him think it's his idea. February 2nd, 2024. Courtney to Nathan. He proposed. We're getting married in April. February 2nd, 2024, Nathan to Courtney. Excellent. After marriage, get your name on all accounts. Find signature samples. I'll handle the rest. July 18th, 2024, Courtney to Nathan. I have the original will. Photographed every page. Can your guy match the signature? July 18th, 2024, Nathan to Courtney. Easy, I know a document specialist, former court clerk, knows how to replicate signatures. Send me the photos. I'll have a new will drafted by end of month. August 1st, 2024, Nathan to Courtney. Will is ready. Dated September 30th, 2021. Gives you 60%, him 40%, son gets nothing. We'll wait a few months, build the case, then file. October 15th, 2024, Courtney to Nathan. Filed this morning. He's been served. Now we wait. October 16th, 2024, Nathan to Courtney. Perfect. Now play victim, restraining order, freeze assets, make him look dangerous. Pregnancy is genius. No judge will rule against a pregnant wife. October 16th, 2024, Courtney to Nathan. What about when paternity comes up? October 16th, 2024, Nathan to Courtney. We'll deal with it. By then we'll have the ranch. Doesn't matter. Once we're in California, he can't touch us. October 18th, 2024, Courtney to Nathan. I love you. October 18th, 2024, Nathan to Courtney. Love you too, baby. This time next year, we're set for life. I closed the laptop. Couldn't read anymore. Couldn't see through the tears. John's voice on the phone was gentle. Dan, this is criminal conspiracy, forgery, fraud. This goes beyond probate court. The state's attorney will want to see this. She never loved me, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. The whole time, every word, every kiss, every promise, it was all a lie. I'm sorry, Dan. She used me. She saw an obituary, saw my father died, saw an opportunity, hunted me down, married me, waited, then struck. At this point, if you were in my position, would you keep fighting to expose the truth? Type, fight. Or settle quietly to protect your family from more pain? Type, settle. What would you do? Because what I chose next changed everything. I wanted to quit, wanted to settle, wanted to give her the money and make it all stop. The pain, the humiliation, the destruction of everything I'd believed about my marriage. But then I thought about my father, about his promise to protect me, about Rita saving 40 years of signature samples, about Lucas installing cameras, about Marcus Webb spending hours analyzing signatures. They were all fighting for me, for the truth, for justice. I couldn't give up, not when they hadn't. But Lucas almost made me. He came to the ranch that night, late, after his wife and kids were asleep, found me in the barn, midnight. I was oiling saddles, trying to keep my hands busy. Dad, he said, his voice was different, hard. We need to talk. About what? About Courtney, about this whole mess. Lucas, why did you marry her? The words came out like an accusation. You didn't even know her. 6 months after Grandpa died. 6 months. You weren't thinking clearly. I know that, I said. Do you? Because you let a stranger into our family. You gave her access to Grandpa's papers. You put her name on the accounts. You trusted her completely, and now we might lose everything. Lucas? Grandpa would be ashamed. The words hit like a punch. I stood up, faced my son. Don't you dare. Don't you dare tell me what my father would think. He'd think you were reckless, careless, that you put your grief before your family's legacy. I was lonely, I said, my voice rising. I just lost my father. I was 53 years old, running a ranch by myself, everyone telling me to move on, get remarried, find happiness. So I did. And yes, I made a mistake. A massive mistake. But I'm trying to fix it. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, you're letting her destroy us. The church won't talk to you. The fire department suspended you. The ranch accounts are frozen. Our employees might walk. And you're out here oiling saddles like everything's fine. What do you want me to do? I shouted. You want me to apologize? I'm sorry. I'm sorry I trusted someone. I'm sorry I loved someone who didn't love me back. I'm sorry I was human enough to be lonely and stupid enough to think someone could actually care about me for who I am instead of what I own. Silence. Heavy. The barn felt too small. Lucas's face changed. The anger drained away. Dad, he said quietly, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. And you're right. I was reckless. I did put my grief before everything else, and now our family's paying for it. I sat down on a hay bale, put my head in my hands. Lucas, I failed you. I failed your grandfather. I let a con artist into our family. I signed papers I shouldn't have signed. I trusted someone I shouldn't have trusted. And now everything we've built, everything 4 generations of Parkers have protected, it's all at risk because of me. Lucas sat down beside me, put his hand on my shoulder. Dad, you didn't fail anyone. She did. She's the one who lied. She's the one who forged the will. She's the one who committed fraud. You were just... His voice caught. You were just grieving, and she took advantage of that. That's not your fault. We sat there, father and son, in the barn where my father taught me to work, where I taught Lucas, where his grandfather had taught my father. 4 generations, 102 years, all of it hanging by a thread. Do you remember what Grandpa used to say? Lucas asked. I nodded. His hand was steady. His signature never wavered. He meant more than just his handwriting, didn't he? Yeah, I said. He meant his character, his word, his promises. You have the same hand, Dad, the same character. You've kept every promise you've ever made. To Mom, when you raised me after the divorce. To Grandpa, when you came back to run the ranch. To this community, as a deacon and a fire chief. You've spent 3 years blaming yourself for not coming home sooner when Grandpa was sick. But he wouldn't want that. He'd want you fighting for what he built. I looked at my son, 32 years old, wise beyond his years. We fight together, Lucas said. Do we? Like Grandpa would want, like he taught us. I grabbed him, hugged him. First time in years. We're not a family that shows emotion easily, but right then we both needed it. Thank you, I whispered. For what? For not giving up on me. Never, Dad, never. But 2 days later, I almost gave up on myself. It was early December, first week of December. The hearing was scheduled for January 25th, 7 weeks away. The ranch accounts were still frozen. I'd borrowed money from the bank to make payroll, $20,000, short-term loan, due in 60 days. The church Christmas service was coming up, December 22nd. I was supposed to read scripture, light the Advent candle. But the deacon board had asked me to step back until this is resolved. The fire department Christmas party was canceled due to leadership transition. The Cattlemen's Association sent a letter. Your board membership is under review pending legal resolution. Everything I'd built, every relationship, every position, every piece of respect was crumbling. I drove to the cemetery, sunset, cold, snow on the ground. My father's grave was on a hill overlooking the ranch. He'd picked the spot himself. So I can keep an eye on things, he joked. I knelt in the snow. My father's headstone was simple, black granite, Robert James Parker, 1948-2021. His hand was steady. I'd chosen that epitaph from his favorite saying. Now it felt like an accusation. "Dad," I said, my voice breaking, "I'm sorry. I let her into our family. I gave her access to everything. Now she's trying to steal Lucas's inheritance. Your ranch, everything you gave me, your signature never wavered. But mine did. I'm so tired. I don't know if I can keep fighting." The sun was setting behind the Badlands. Red sky. Beautiful. My father had loved this view. I pulled his reading glasses from my coat pocket, the ones I'd kept. Wire rim bifocals, brown leather case, the scratch on the right lens. I held them like I could somehow see what he'd see, know what he'd know. "I wish you were here to tell me what to do," I said. "I wish you could tell me if I'm doing the right thing, if I should keep fighting or just let it go. Let her have the money. Protect Lucas from more pain. I'm so lost without you, Dad." Footsteps behind me, crunching in snow. I turned. Rita McAllister, 70 years old, gray hair, kind eyes, my father's secretary for 30 years. "Daniel," she said gently, "I've been looking for you." "Rita, how did you—" "Your son called, said you weren't answering your phone, said he was worried. I thought I'd find you here." She sat down in the snow beside me, didn't care that her coat would get wet. "You're thinking about giving up," she said. Not a question, a statement. "I don't know anymore. Maybe it's easier. Maybe it's better for everyone if I just settle. Give her the money. End this." Rita looked at the headstone. Robert Parker worked this land for 45 years. He saved this ranch from bankruptcy in 2008 when the economy crashed. He expanded the herd, built the infrastructure, made this place profitable. He didn't do all that so his son could give up when things got hard. "I'm not giving up. I'm protecting my family." "You're running," Rita said firmly, and Robert Parker didn't raise a quitter. "You don't understand. The pressure, the community. Everyone thinks I'm dangerous, violent. They believe her lies." "Some people believe lies, but the truth always comes out. Always. Your father knew that. That's why he kept signature samples. That's why he wrote that letter." "What letter?" Rita reached into her coat, pulled out an envelope, cream-colored, my father's handwriting, addressed to me. He gave this to me the day he signed the real will, April 12th, 2021. He said, "Rita, if anything ever happens to me, if anyone ever challenges this will, give this to Daniel. He'll need it." My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Inside was a single page. My father's handwriting. Shaky. This was written when his health was already failing. Early Alzheimer's. The letter was dated April 10th, 2021, 2 days before he signed the will. "My dear son Daniel, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Someone is challenging my will, trying to take what's yours. I want you to know the will I signed on April 12th, 2021 is my true will. My only will. Every word was mine. Every decision was mine. The deed is yours alone. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm writing this because I'm scared, son. My mind is slipping. I know it. And I'm scared of what will happen after I'm gone. You'll be vulnerable, grieving. And there are people in this world who prey on vulnerability. If someone comes into your life too quickly, promises too much, asks too many questions about the ranch, be careful. Protect yourself. Protect what your grandfather built, what I protected, what you must protect now. The ranch has Parker blood in every fence post. 3 generations of sweat and sacrifice. Don't let a 4th person take it without a fight. My hand is steady as I write this. My signature is mine. You'll know the real thing when you see it. Trust yourself. Trust the truth. And remember, you can't forge a man's life work. You can't forge love. You can't forge integrity. The truth always wins, always. I love you, son. I'm proud of you. Now finish what we started. Keep the land. Dad. I read it 3 times, tears streaming down my face. The snow falling harder now, Rita's hand on my shoulder. My father had known. Somehow he'd known. Not the specifics, not Courtney's name. But he'd known someone would come, someone would try. And he'd left me weapons to fight. Your father's hand was steady, Rita said, even when his mind was slipping, even when he knew he was dying. He never wavered. He protected you. He protected Lucas. He protected the truth. She stood up, brushed snow off her coat. Now you have to do the same, Daniel. You have to be as steady as he was. You have to fight, not for money, not for the ranch, but for the truth, for his honor, for Lucas, for every generation that came before and every generation that will come after. She walked away, left me kneeling in the snow, holding my father's letter, his last words to me. My hand is steady as I write this. I looked at the signature at the bottom, bold, confident, no tremor. His hand had been steady. His signature never wavered, even in death. Even when forgers tried to imitate him, the truth was written in his confident ink. I stood up, put the letter in my coat, picked up my father's reading glasses, looked out at the ranch, the land he'd protected, the land I would protect. 20,000 acres stretching to the horizon, the barn, the house, the cattle, the fences, every inch of it earned, built, defended. My father's hand was steady. His signature never wavered. Neither would mine. The probate hearing was scheduled for January 25th. Judge Samuel Thornton presiding. I'd known Sam Thornton for 20 years. He'd been a prosecutor before becoming a judge. Tough, fair. Known for harsh sentences on fraud cases. The courtroom was small. Pennington County Courthouse is 2nd floor, wood paneling, high ceilings, 20 rows of benches. Every seat was full. Rita McAllister, Lucas and his wife, 8 ranch hands who'd taken the morning off to be there. Pastor Mills, Tom from the fire department, friends from the Cattlemen's Association, the reporter from the Rapid City Journal. Everyone wanted to see how this would end. I sat at the plaintiff's table with John Brennan. Across the aisle, Courtney sat with Nathan Voss. She wore a navy dress, her hand on her stomach, 7 months pregnant now, playing the victim to the end. She wouldn't look at me. Judge Thornton entered. We all stood. "Be seated," he said. His voice was gravelly, authoritative. "We're here for the matter of Parker Estate, case number PR 2024-00847. Contested will. Mr. Brennan, you're representing Daniel Parker, challenging the will dated September 30th, 2021? "Yes, Your Honor," John said. "Mr. Voss, you're representing Courtney Parker, defending the will?" "Yes, Your Honor." Nathan stood, smooth, confident, expensive suit. "And I'd like to note for the record that Mrs. Parker is 7 months pregnant. She's here under duress. My client fears for her safety given Mr. Parker's history of—" "Save it for your arguments, Mr. Voss," Judge Thornton said. "I've read the briefs, both of them, 3 times. This is either the most brazen forgery I've seen in 30 years on the bench or the most malicious false accusation. We're going to find out which. Mr. Brennan, call your first witness." "The plaintiff calls Marcus Webb, Your Honor." Marcus took the stand. Gray suit, glasses, calm. He'd testified hundreds of times. John approached with both wills, laid them on the evidence table. "Mr. Webb, you're a forensic document examiner?" "Yes, 23 years with the FBI. I specialize in handwriting analysis, signature authentication, and document fraud detection." "Have you examined both of these wills?" "I have, for approximately 40 hours over 3 weeks." "What did you find?" Marcus pulled out a pointer, gestured to the projected images on the screen, both signatures side by side enlarged. "Your Honor, I examined Robert Parker's authentic signature pattern using 40 years of exemplars, checks, contracts, letters, all provided by Mrs. Rita McAllister, Mr. Parker's longtime secretary. I identified 8 consistent characteristics across all authentic signatures. He pointed to the screen. First, bold down strokes with heavy pressure. Second, 15-degree rightward slant, consistent. Third, tight loop formation on the J, open loop on the P. Fourth, cross-stroke placement at specific height, never varies. Fifth, entry angle of 45 degrees. Sixth, sharp, decisive exit stroke. Seventh, consistent ink density. Eighth, no tremor, ever. Robert Parker's hand never wavered. He moved the pointer to the forged signature. The signature on the contested will shows 8 corresponding inconsistencies. Shaky downstrokes with visible tremor, here, here, and here. Slant variation between 10 and 20 degrees. Loop formation incorrect. J too tight, P too loose. Cross-stroke placement lower than standard. Entry angle too steep at 50 degrees. Exit stroke hesitant with a hook. Ink density inconsistent. And overall tremor throughout. This is someone attempting to copy the signature slowly, carefully, but unable to replicate confidence. Could these differences be explained by natural variation? John asked. No, natural signature variation is typically less than 5% deviation. These deviations are 15 to 30%. Additionally, I analyzed pen pressure patterns using microscopy. Authentic signatures show smooth, continuous pressure. The contested signature shows lift-in-place patterns, characteristic of slow copying. So your conclusion, the signature is a forgery, no question. Confidence level, 99.8%. Nathan stood. Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Webb's testimony is speculative. Handwriting analysis isn't an exact science. Overruled, Judge Thornton said. Mr. Webb is an FBI expert with 2 decades of experience. His testimony stands. Continue, Mr. Brennan. John pulled out another exhibit, the foam board with seal comparisons. Mr. Webb, did you also examine the notary seals? Yes, I contacted Frank Delaney, the notary whose seal appears on both documents. He provided authenticated samples of his official seal from 2021. The seal on the authentic will matches perfectly. The seal on the contested will has 3 critical errors. He pointed to the board. First, border thickness. Authentic seal has 1/8 inch border. Contested seal has 1/16 inch. Second, font. Authentic uses Times New Roman for the registration number. Contested uses Arial. Third, date format. Authentic uses MMDDYY with slashes. Contested uses MMDDYY with dashes. These are errors a forger makes when replicating from memory or photograph, not from the actual seal. Nathan was writing furiously. Courtney's face had gone pale. Thank you, Mr. Webb. Your Honor, the plaintiff rests on expert testimony, but we have additional evidence if the court wishes. I wish, Judge Thornton said. Call your next witness. The plaintiff calls Frank Delaney. Frank took the stand, 63 years old, county notary for 35 years, meticulous record keeper. Hands shaking slightly, he was angry. Mr. Delaney, John said, you're the notary whose seal appears on both wills. My seal appears on one will, Frank said firmly. The authentic will, dated April 12th, 2021. I personally notarized Robert Parker's signature that day. I was there. I watched him sign. I applied my seal. I recorded it in my log. And the contested will, dated September 30th. I never notarized that document, never. I keep meticulous records, every notarization logged with date, time, document type, and signer name. I have no record of any notarization on September 30th, 2021. None. Is it possible you forgot to log it? No, impossible. I've logged every single notarization for 35 years. Over 40,000 documents, 0 errors, 0 missing logs. I would never... His voice caught. I would never dishonor Robert Parker's memory by notarizing a fraudulent will. He was a good man, a friend. Whoever forged this document forged my seal. They committed a crime against him and against me. Judge Thornton leaned forward. Mr. Voss, do you have questions for this witness? Nathan stood, hesitated. No, Your Honor. Smart choice, the judge said. Mr. Brennan, what else? Your Honor, we have video evidence, security camera footage from Mr. Parker's home office. John set up a laptop, projected the video on the courtroom screen. The footage played, Courtney entering the office, rifling through files, photographing the will, calling Nathan on speakerphone. The audio was clear. Nathan, I have it, the original will. I photographed every page. Can your guy match the signature? Nathan's voice. Easy, I'll have the new will ready by next week. What about the notary seal? I can replicate Frank Delaney's seal. The courtroom was silent. You could hear breathing. The video continued. 47 clips. 6 months of Courtney searching the office, planning, conspiring. When it ended, Judge Thornton looked at Nathan. Counselor, would you like to explain what we just watched? Nathan stood. His confidence was gone. Your Honor, that video could be edited, manipulated. Could be. Mr. Brennan, do you have the original files? Yes, Your Honor. Unedited, time-stamped, verified by a digital forensics expert, available for the court's inspection. I'll inspect them, Judge Thornton said. What else? John pulled out the binder. Blue cover, 200 pages. Text messages, Your Honor, between Mrs. Parker and Mr. Voss. 18 months of communications, planning this fraud, conspiring to forge the will, detailing the entire scheme. He handed copies to the judge and to Nathan. Judge Thornton read. His face darkened with each page. Mr. Voss, he said slowly, did you text Mrs. Parker on July 18th, 2024? Quote, I know a document specialist, former court clerk, knows how to replicate signatures. Nathan didn't answer. Did you text her on August 1st? Will is ready, dated September 30th, 2021. Gives you 60%, him 40, son gets nothing. Silence. Did you text her on October 16th? Play victim, restraining order, freeze assets, make him look dangerous. Pregnancy is genius. No judge will rule against a pregnant wife. Nathan sat down. Judge Thornton looked at Courtney. Mrs. Parker, stand up. She stood, shaking. Mrs. Parker, I'm going to ask you directly, under oath. Did you conspire with Mr. Voss to forge this will? 30 seconds of silence. The courtroom held its breath. Mrs. Parker, Judge Thornton said, his voice ice. Answer the question. She looked at Nathan. He wouldn't meet her eyes. Her voice broke. Nathan said it would work. He said no one would be able to prove. She stopped, realized what she'd said. Judge Thornton leaned back. So that's a yes. You conspired to commit forgery. I didn't mean, it wasn't supposed to. Save it. He looked at Nathan. Mr. Voss, you're an officer of the court. You took an oath, and you participated you orchestrated a criminal conspiracy to commit forgery, fraud, and perjury. I'm referring this case to the state's attorney immediately. He turned to Courtney. Mrs. Parker, I'm ordering an immediate paternity test. This court needs to determine if your pregnancy claim is truthful or another manipulation tactic. Your Honor, Courtney started crying. Is the baby Mr. Parker's? Judge Thornton asked. Silence. Mrs. Parker, whose child are you carrying? Nathan's, she whispered. The courtroom erupted, gasps, murmurs. The reporter typing frantically. Judge Thornton banged his gavel. Order. Order in this court. He looked at Courtney with something like disgust. Let me make sure I understand. You married Mr. Parker, used his inheritance money to pay your debts, forged his father's will, filed a fraudulent probate claim, obtained a restraining order under false pretenses, claimed pregnancy to gain sympathy, and now admit the child isn't even his. Have I missed anything? Courtney couldn't speak, just cried. Bailiff, Judge Thornton said, arrest Mrs. Courtney Parker on charges of forgery, conspiracy to commit fraud, perjury, and filing false legal documents. Hold her pending arraignment. Two bailiffs moved toward Courtney. She screamed, Nathan! Nathan, help me! But Nathan was standing, gathering his papers, trying to leave. Mr. Voss, Judge Thornton said, don't move. Bailiff, arrest Mr. Nathan Voss on the same charges, plus conspiracy as an attorney, subornation of perjury, and violation of professional ethics. Both defendants remanded without bail. The bailiffs handcuffed them both. Courtney was sobbing. Nathan's face was white. As they let her out, Courtney looked at me. One last time. Dan, she said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. Couldn't. There was nothing left to say. Judge Thornton waited until the courtroom quieted. Now, he said, let me rule on the actual probate matter. The will dated September 30th, 2021, is hereby declared fraudulent and void. The authentic will dated April 12th, 2021, is the valid last will and testament of Robert James Parker. The estate is awarded in its entirety to Daniel Parker to be distributed according to his father's true wishes. He banged the gavel. Mr. Parker, I'm sorry for what you've been through. Your father was a good man. He protected you even in death. His hand was steady. His signature never wavered, and this court honors that. Thank you, Your Honor, I managed to say. One more thing, Judge Thornton said. Mrs. Parker and Mr. Voss are jointly liable for your legal fees. Full reimbursement. I'm awarding $127,000 in costs and fees to be paid from their personal assets. They committed this fraud. They pay the consequences. He stood. This court is adjourned. The aftermath came quickly. Nathan Voss was arrested at his Sioux Falls office that same afternoon. FBI agents, white-collar crimes unit. They'd been watching him for months, apparently. This wasn't his first probate fraud case. He'd done it before, helped wealthy clients contest wills, forge signatures. The Parker case was just the one that finally caught him. The state's attorney filed formal charges. Both Courtney and Nathan faced 10 years in prison. Forgery, fraud, conspiracy, perjury. The trial was set for June. The paternity test confirmed it. The baby wasn't mine. It was Nathan's. They'd been having an affair for over a year. The pregnancy wasn't manipulation. It was consequence. Courtney's sister, a good woman, stable, married, had been trying to help Courtney for years, agreed to take custody of the baby after it was born. The baby would have a good home. That mattered. Whatever else happened, the child was innocent. The bank unfroze my accounts immediately. The judge's ruling was final. The ranch was mine. Always had been, always would be. I paid my ranch hands with bonuses, Christmas bonuses, for sticking with me through the crisis, for believing in me when the community didn't. The church called. Pastor Mills. Apologetic. Dan, the deacon board wants to apologize. We should have trusted you. We should have known you better. Will you come back? Will you read scripture at Christmas service? I said yes. The fire department called. Tom. Embarrassed. Dan, we were wrong. The board voted unanimously. We want you back as chief. We're giving you a commendation for integrity under pressure, for fighting for the truth even when it cost you everything. I said yes to that too. The Cattlemen's Association sent a letter. Your board membership is restored. We'd like you to give the keynote address at our February conference. Topic, protecting family legacies. The community rallied. Apology after apology. Support. Understanding. Rita McAllister came to the ranch, brought a casserole, hugged me. Your father would be proud, she said. You kept the promise. You protected what he built. We protected it, I said. At you, Lucas, Marcus, Frank, John, everyone. I couldn't have done it alone. That's what family does, Rita said. Not family by blood, family by choice. We chose you. We chose truth. We chose to fight. The judge's ruling restored my father's honor. But here's what I learned. Legacy isn't just about land or money. It's about the people who stand with you when everyone else walks away. Rita, who kept signature samples for 40 years. Lucas, who installed cameras to protect me. Frank Delaney, who testified even though his professional reputation was on the line. Marcus Webb, who spent 40 hours analyzing signatures. John Brennan, who fought for me without hesitation. If you've had people show up for you like that, people who became family not by blood but by choice, tell me about them in the comments. I want to hear their names. They deserve to be honored. And if this story moved you, if it made you think about your own legacy, subscribe to this channel. I tell stories about the promises we keep, the battles we fight, and the truth that always, always wins in the end. I'll see you in the next one. Christmas Eve. The snow was falling on the ranch, soft, steady, like it had for over 100 years. Lucas's kids, my grandkids, 5 and 3 years old now, were by the fire, unwrapping presents, their faces bright with joy, innocent, unaware of the battle their grandfather had fought to protect their inheritance. Lucas and his wife sat on the couch. Rita was there too, visiting for the evening. Tom from the fire department, Pastor Mills, a small gathering, the people who'd stood by me. I handed Lucas a small box. He looked at me, curious. "Open it," I said. Inside were my father's reading glasses, the wire-rim bifocals with the scratch on the right lens, the brown leather case with his initials embossed in gold. R.J. Parker. Lucas's eyes filled with tears. "Dad, your grandfather wanted you to see clearly," I said. "Now you can." He put them on. They fit perfectly. He looked at me through those lenses, the same lenses that had helped my father see for 20 years, the same lenses that had seen 3 generations of this ranch, that had watched cattle born, fences built, storms weathered. "I see him," Lucas whispered. "When I wear these, I can see Grandpa." He could barely speak. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for never giving up on me," I said, "for fighting when I wanted to quit." Lucas handed me a document, legal paper, official seal. "What's this?" I asked. "Deed transfer. You already signed it, last week at John's office, remember?" I'd forgotten. The emotions of the trial had blurred everything. 50% of the ranch is now mine, Lucas said. "We're co-owners, 4th and 5th generation, together." I grabbed him, hugged him, my son, my partner, the future of this place. Then Lucas reached into his pocket, pulled out 2 small objects wrapped in red tissue paper. He knelt down, eye level with his kids. "Emma, Jack, come here." The kids ran over. 5-year-old Emma, 3-year-old Jack, bright eyes, curious. Lucas unwrapped the tissue paper. Inside were 2 small pocket knives, beautiful, custom-made. On each handle, engraved in silver, the Parker Ranch brand. Circle P established 1922. "These are yours," Lucas told them. "Your great-great-grandfather homesteaded this land in 1922. Your great-grandfather built it up. Your grandfather protected it. Now it's yours to care for." Emma held hers carefully. "Forever?" "Forever," Lucas said. Jack looked at his knife, looked at me. "Grandpa, did you really fight bad guys?" I smiled. First genuine smile in 3 months. "I fought for the truth," I said, "and the truth won." "Because you're brave," Jack said. "Because I had help," I said. "From Grandpa Robert, from your dad, from Rita, from a lot of people who love this ranch as much as I do." I looked at the wall. The 1922 property survey map still hung there, hand-drawn, coffee-stained, edges frayed. My great-grandfather's notes in the margin in faded pencil. The borders were unchanged. 102 years, same lines, same land, same legacy. Through the window, I could see snow falling on those exact borders. Soft, steady, peaceful. The land remembers who owns it. It always will. Courtney and Nathan were both awaiting trial, both facing 10 years in prison. The baby would be born in March, would go to Courtney's sister, a good woman. The child would have a stable home. That mattered more than anything else. My father's honor was restored. His will, his real will, stood. His signature, bold and steady, had defeated the forged, trembling imitation. Lucas wore my father's reading glasses. His kids held their knives. 4 generations sat in that room. 5, if you counted my father's presence in those glasses, in that map, in the land outside. Rita raised her mug of cider. To Robert Parker, his hand was steady, his signature never wavered. We all raised our mugs. To Robert Parker, we said. Lucas looked at me, smiled. Dad, your hand is steady too, just like Grandpa's. You protected us. You kept your promise. I thought about my father's letter, the one he'd written 2 days before signing his will, when his mind was slipping but his character wasn't. You can't forge a man's life work. You can't forge love. You can't forge integrity. The truth always wins. Always. He'd been right. You can forge a signature. You can forge a document. You can forge emotions and forge relationships and forge a whole life story. But you can't forge a legacy written in honest ink over 4 generations. You can't forge the truth. Emma climbed onto my lap, showed me her knife. Grandpa, tell us the story. Tell us how you saved the ranch. It's a long story, I said. We want to hear it, Jack said. So I told them. Not all of it, not the dark parts, but the important parts. About their great-grandfather, about his steady hand, about his promise to protect the land, about how lies tried to steal it but truth fought back, about how family, real family, the kind you choose, stands together, about how legacy isn't just land or money. It's character, integrity, the promises you keep. When I finished, Emma said, so we have to protect it too? You do, I said, your whole life. You protect what you love, you protect the truth, you protect each other. We will, she promised. The fire crackled, the snow fell. Christmas Eve on a South Dakota ranch. Peace, finally, after 3 months of hell, after fighting for truth, after nearly losing everything. But we didn't lose, because my father's hand was steady. His signature never wavered. Even in death, even when someone tried to forge his name, the truth in that steady hand won. And me? I learned something my father tried to teach me his whole life. You can't forge a man's life work. You can't forge a signature written with a steady hand. You can't forge love or loyalty or legacy. The truth has a signature all its own. And no forger, no matter how skilled, no matter how practiced, can replicate the confidence of an honest man. My father's hand was steady. His signature never wavered. Neither will ours.